Hello. This is a tweet from Dr. Leanna Wen, a physician who's touted herself as a public health leader, but has since abandoned that training and experience to become a COVID minimizer and gaslighter. This tweet thread was based on an op-ed she wrote for the Washington Post, stating that she would not be masking herself or her kids when they went back to school in the fall. She talks a lot about personal choice and responsibility, which is not how public health works. It's about caring for one's community and those around you, which she should know, being as she's worked in that sector for a while. She also compares COVID to the flu and RSV here, which is disingenuous because COVID's killed far more than either of those diseases in the last 2 years. But let's focus on this second paragraph. There is a trade-off. Masking has harmed our son's language development. We do not wish to limiting our kids' social interactions. Now, typos aside, because we all do those, let's talk about why this anecdote is not applicable from a public health standpoint. This is an article from the American Academy of Pediatrics at healthychildren.org. I strongly urge you to read it as it discusses this question. Every caregiver is on the lookout for delays in development or their kid hitting certain milestones. But over the last 2 years, we've seen that even when masks were in wider use, not so much the case anymore, unfortunately, kids still hit their developmental milestones in most cases. They are surprisingly adaptable in these situations. Remember, even visually impaired kids adapt their senses and develop social skills. And this is primarily because a lot of these skills are developed at home, with the parents and caregivers. Masks may be worn at school, but they're not usually worn at home unless you're, trying to isolate because of COVID-19, which is only temporary. And that's when a lot of this learning happens. Now, there are children who don't always hit their milestones, but that happened even before masks became in wide use as a tool against the pandemic. This article also highlights ways to play with small children and what we do to encourage those skills and learning. You don't need to see a mouse to understand many facial expressions, and many kids can figure that part out too. Like I said, adaptable. Lots of pundits with zero child development experience are trying to hype up these baseless theories to try to get people to abandon masking, but there's no evidence to support their claims of masks inhibiting speech and language or social development. That said, if you have concerns, please do bring those up with your pediatrician or with a speech and language pathologist. There are early intervention programs and other resources to address these things, and they've adapted to masks and the other trauma caused by the pandemic as well. Masks aren't perfect, and no one ever said they were. It can be challenging for kids to keep wearing them, but the biggest factor in that is good adult role models illustrating their importance in caring about others and curbing the spread of a dangerous virus that, like it or not, does affect children, both directly through illness and through harming their caregivers and disrupting their schools and in all sorts of other ways too.